Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivrajagacharya Ashtotara Shatasya Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivrajagacharya Ashtotara Shatasya Srimad His Divine Grace Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada ki Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada ki Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki Itai Gaura Premanandi. Oh, glory to the assembled devotees. Oh, glory to the assembled devotees. Oh, glory to the assembled devotees. Oh, glory to Shishiguru and Shigoranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, the Summon Bonum, Chapter 8. Lord Krishna shows the universal form within his mouth. Text number 22 and 23. Tav Angri Yukman Anukrisha Sarisham Pantao. That's not the right. Okay. Tat Ankri Yukman Anukrisha Sarisri Pantao. Gosha pragosa ruchiram brajakardameshu. Tannadahista manasau anisritya lokam. Mukta prabita vadupenjatur antimatro. Tab angri yukmang anukrisya sarisri pantao. Gosha pragosha ruchiram brajakardameshu. Tannadahrista manasavanun anusritya lokam. Mutta prabita vadupejatur antimatro. Tav angri yukmang anukrisya sarisri pantao. Gosha pragosha ruchiram brajakarmadesu. Tannadahrista manasav anusritya lokam. Mugda prabita vat upejatur antimatro. Please chant. Tat angri yukman anukrisya sarisri pantao. Gosha pragosha ruchiram brajakardamesu. Tannadahrista manasav anusritya lokam. Mugdha prabita vat upejatur antimatro. Tav angri yukmang anukrisya sarisri pantao. Gosha pragosa ruchiram brajakarmameshu. Tannadahista manasab anusritya lokam. Mugda prabita vadupejatur antimatro. Tau. Krishna and Balaram. Angry Yukman Anukrishya, dragging their legs. Sarisripantao, crawling like snakes. Gosha pragosha ruchiram, producing a sound with their ankle bells that was very, very sweet to hear. Brajakarmadmesu, in the mud created by cow dung and cow urine on the earth of Brajabhumi. Tatnada, by the sounds of those ankle bells. Hristamanasao, being very much pleased. Anusritya, following. Lokam, other persons. Mukta, thus being enchanted. Prabhitabat, then again being afraid of them. Upayetau, immediately return. Antimatroho, towards their mothers. Purport and translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation. When Krishna and Balaram, with the strength of their legs, crawl in the muddy places created in Braja by cow dung and cow urine, their crawling resembled the crawling of serpents, and the sound of their ankle bells was very charming. Very much pleased by the sounds of other people's ankle bells, they used to follow these peoples as if going to their mothers. But when they saw that these were other people, they became afraid and returned to their real mothers, Yasoda and Rohini. Purport. When Krishna and Balaram were crawling about Brajabhumi, they were enchanted by the sound of ankle bells. Thus, they sometimes follow other people who will enjoy the crawling of Krishna and Balaram and exclaim, "Oh, see how Krishna and Balaram are crawling." Upon hearing this, Krishna and Balaram could understand that these were not their mothers. They were following, and they will return to the actual mothers. Thus, the crawling of Krishna and Balaram was enjoyed by the people of the neighborhood, as well as by Mother Yasoda and Rohini, and the two children themselves. Text number 23. Tamma taro nijashatao grinayas nubantaityo panka garaga ruchirav upagrihya torbhyam datastanam prapivatosma mukham niriksha mugdasmitalpadashanam jayatu pramodam. Translation. Dressed with muddy earth mixed with cow dung and cow urine, the babies looked very beautiful. And when they went to their mothers, both Yasoda and Rohini picked them up with great affection, embraced them, and allowed them to suck the milk flowing from their breasts. While sucking the breast, the babies smiled, and their small teeth were visible. Their mothers, upon seeing those beautiful teeth, enjoy great transcendental bliss. Purport. As the mothers care for their respected babies, by the arrangement of Yoga Maya, the baby thought, "Here's my mother," and the mother thought, "Here's my son." Because of affection, milk naturally flowed from the mother's breast, and the babies drank it. When the mothers saw their small teeth coming in, they will count them and be happy. And when the babies saw their mothers allowing to drink their breast milk, the babies also felt transcendental pleasure. As this transcendental affection continued between Rohini and Balaram and Yasoda and Krishna, they all enjoyed transcendental bliss. Om Agyana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurube Namaha. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasaya Bhutale Srimate Romapada Swami Iti Namine. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirveshesha Shunyavadi Pashatyade Shatarine Vancha kalpa tarubhyascha kripa sindhu vyaevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. There is one of the sampradayas, I think, is the Vallabha Sampradaya, that pretty much worship the form of baby Krishna. So we see many in this area of India, Gujarat, it is very common that devotees of Krishna worship baby Krishna. That usually he is in this crawling position and with the hands tended with a laddu. He was very fond of sweets. So so very much worshipping this beautiful form of Krishna with these beautiful pastimes of a baby, very endearing. And yesterday we heard the narrations from the Vaishnava Acharyas about a much detailed exchanges of love between the mothers and Krishna and Balaram, and how beautifully human-like is one of the things that the Krishna's pastimes are, is human-like pastimes. In fact, it's the original pastimes. It's this human exchanges that we have and relationships that we have here is nothing else but a reflection of Krishna's relationships and leelas and pastimes and exchanges of love with different devotees in the spiritual world. So we see that there's this natural, and it's universal, this natural relationship between a baby and a mother. And regardless of what culture, regardless of what circumstance and situation in general, you see the manifestations of all these different descriptions that are there. Although, I was just appreciating the description of the standards of beauty and pleasure and healthiness that is described here in Lord Krishna's and Lord Balaram's pastime. When we see a child, I can imagine a parent these days seeing their child crowding in a bunch of cow dung and cow urine and getting themselves completely smeared with cow dung and cow urine and dust. So you can imagine all them covered with the dust and the cow dung and mixed with the muddy urine of the cows, and the mothers are not freaking out. Oh my God, it's getting all messy. What's this kid is gonna get sick? But they actually seeing it, as they look extremely beautiful. And this was very encouraging and very healthy. The fact is that it's a very healthy life to be in close contact with the land and the elements, with nature. And It's very sad, the situation of modern societies, modern world, that in a actually quite fast pace is becoming more and more disconnected from nature. In fact, people experience nature mostly through computers. And if they go to experience nature, it's something that is so sanitized that is basically you have no. They make fences, they make all kinds of paths, all kinds of things that you try to minimize the contact that you have with nature. So I remember growing up in the 60s and 70s, early 70s in Venezuela, and remembering we spent many of our summers in the countryside with family members who have, tracts of land and farms and things like that, and just spend our days just in the fields and in the cow sheds. I remember going early in the morning. My grandmother used to send us to where the cow was, and then the guy who worked the cows will throw the milk right in the cup from the udder of the cow. We're drinking coffee. It's part of it, the mode of ignorance and passion type of culture. But we go with our cup of coffee, just freshly whatever done, and then go to the cow shed, and then the guy will put the milk straight into the cup, and you drink it, and we didn't get sick. I mean, this is something that people go to jail nowadays in this country. If you're not allowed to sell raw milk, or there is something. There's some regulations. What to speak of? You have to, do all kinds of things to be able to consume it. You have to homogenize it, and then you have to all the kinds of procedures that you have to do to sanitize it, pasteurize it, etc., etc. I remember going into the fields, like, you go right into the mountains and jungles with my cousins, a bunch of little kids, and we just go into these jungles, and just run around and go into the little rivers and rivulets and things like that, and just bathe and play and splash, and sometimes try to disturb the animals there, and pick fruits and eat. It was like free. You are free from anxiety. I mean, at times, you encounter something that may appear as dangerous. Like one time, my brother and our cousins, we were, in this jungle space, and then we hear this growl. And then we thought of a lion or a tiger and start to run completely scared. So, but, never happens. I mean, just things that happens to kids you know, you break a bone or something like that, big deal. You know, jumping from a tree and then you break a bone. Then you put a cast and life goes on, everybody's happy, it's healthy. Now, if you go to a park or a place, you know, that you may encounter nature, you see that there's rails, there's a path that is paved, you know, so you don't get, you know, muddy, and then you get, you know, like that. It's all very clean. You know, there's the trees and the grass is perfectly cut, you know, and then on the side, and then you have make sure that you have a rail so you don't, you know, get too close to the edges of things. So it's all very sanitized, minimizing the contact with nature. And children grows, you know, with not much of this close contact. Getting, you know, remember playing in the rain and getting all, you know, in the mud and having mud wars with your friends and cousins and pushing people, and then you know, become a mess. You come out a complete mess into the home. And it was nice. So something that basically is right now, society is being devoid of all these things, these natural things. Children happily playing in the field, in contact with the land. And what I experienced as a child was, you know, very much in the mode of ignorance and passion. You know, the culture. But what is described here is a beautiful and pure Vedic culture, and especially exemplifies in the beauty of Vrindavan. And of course, you know, the beautiful pastimes of Krishna as a baby, and his close connection with the cows and with the land. So the descriptions you can imagine is very beautiful. When you go to Vrindavan, you see also children that they all look very dusty, you know, and covered with dust and a little messy, you know, but they look so beautiful and so innocent and pure. So you can appreciate that in Vrindavan. You see, you get a sense of that timeless beauty and purity that is there. So the descriptions are very beautiful, and the descriptions of that natural affection that is there between Krishna and his mothers and the parents is very beautiful. However, the pastimes of Krishna as a baby are more is most wonderful, and also it could be very confusing, because a baby is so dependent and so innocent and simple, that to be able to understand that this is the supreme controller, the most powerful, the source of everything, personality, playing the part of a baby that is, you know, curious about the, you know, scrolling around the muddy land where the cows, you know, are there, you know, passing stool and urine, and then they get very much fascinated and attracted and curious about the ankle bells of the villagers, you know, just walking by, and they start to happily follow. You see that, and okay, this is the supreme personality of God. It's very difficult to understand. In fact, even the most powerful, intelligent personality in the whole creation became confused by this vision of this little child sitting very happily with his friends, exchanging this, taking lunch. So, especially after he witnessed Lord Brahma, Krishna killing this most formidable demon, Aghasura, then the display of tremendous power and the display of supreme control over mystic powers. Lord Brahma then sees this little child like completely vulnerable, like a child, innocent, happy with his friends, just playing and eating their lunch and joking around and things like that. So he wanted to test that, to actually, okay, let me see if it's that powerful. So he actually was not, he got confused. And this is Lord Brahma, the most intelligent personality in the whole creation. And not only that, also one of the avatars of the Lord, the Guna avatar of the Lord. So he's a pure devotee of the Lord. And by Krishna's potency, even him got confused by Krishna's arrangement. So, especially these baby pastimes are most wonderful. I think Krishna Archana yesterday mentioned it in the class that the position of the Supreme Being to be in the form of a baby is most wonderful. And the type of, the simple exchange is so innocent. The mother asks something and very innocently, like a baby, responds, gets shy, gets, this and that, They all have this human type of reactions that you won't expect from the most powerful personality. But there he is as a baby. And just smiling by sucking the breast of his mother and like that. So I'm going to stop here. It's a little early, but if you have any questions or comments or thoughts, that would be nice. Anything? Sharcha? Okay. Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Back, like you was talking about milk being pasteurized and stuff today, I was wondering at Gita Nagari, is the milk processed in any way, or is it just straight from the udder?
Well, according to Ayurveda, you have to boil the milk.
Oh, so it is boiled.
Yeah, you have to, but you don't take away things from the milk. Milk is perfect.
Okay.
So, but for us, we have to drink it, we have to boil it. And also, because of Kali Yuga, there's all kinds of things that had happened through this Kali Yuga, especially here in the Western countries, in which apparently the milk that we consume are for cows that are being the natural arrangement has been disturbed. So apparently there is a compound that the milk possesses right now, that most of the milk that we consume, that makes it very difficult to digest. But the milk that comes from certain cows, especially the cows, the Indian cows, the one with the hump, and there is also, I believe, according to what has been recommended by the Ayurvedic doctor, the Jersey cows, the brown cows, they also produce this milk that the compound is the natural compound that can be easily consumed and digested by the human body. They call it A2. There's more to it. I have to, I cannot tell you a lot because, but there's this A2 milk. The compound is described as A2. And the other one, the one that is difficult, that it has been sort of degraded
is it genetically modified?
No. I don't know if it has been genetically modified. That isn't. I didn't read that, but it's just that it has. How you say when something a molecule goes and convert itself into something else? You have something that degrades, an organism that then goes into...
Mutated?
No.
Mutated?
Mutated. There's a mutation that happens in these compounds, and then it becomes now A1. So the cows, the cows that are black and white, the Holstein, they produce this A1. Most of the milk that we consume is A1. We have this mutated compound. So that makes it difficult to digest. So that's one of the things that the modern Ayurveda has, that is explaining. Our cows the milk in Gitanagari is A2, so it's fully bona fide. Now the question is, the quandary that we devotees have to face in these Kali Yuga times. And some devotees make the choice not to consume milk because of not only the physical reasons of your health not being able to consume, or the milk has been compromised by Kali Yuga, but the moral issue of cows being tortured and mistreated and abused by the industry, the milk industry.
The factory farms.
Yeah, factory farms. Yeah. So devotees make that choice of not consuming milk. That is the product of violence and abuse. And then there is other devotees that consume the milk on the understanding that you have to offer milk to Krishna, because these milk products are required for worship. It's required for not only for the consumption that Krishna, he asked for milk. It's a staple diet, but also ghee and yogurt is used, and even cow dung and cow urine is used for worship. So some devotees make the choice that when milk is offered to the Lord, then not only you benefit in taking the prasadam, but also the poor animal, the cow, that is being abused and tortured, has the opportunity that their milk is being offered as a sacrifice to Krishna, and they gain the benefit of that sacrifice. It is explained that there are 5 beneficiaries of a sacrifice, and all of them, they share the same credit of that sacrifice. So the pujari, or the priest who is doing the sacrifice, as the person who sponsored the sacrifice, any person who is involved, including the source of that sacrifice, becomes equally benefit. So that cow that has this most hellish situation forced on them by ignorant, abusive, violent people, they have the opportunity to render service to the beautiful deities, and they become benefit. So in one sense, so from that perspective, the devotees who make their shows, they also find the moral stand to benefit those animals, the cows. But both of them have very strong points and things like that. Ideally, really, we have to consume, we have to offer to Krishna ahimsa milk of protected cows. And ideally, Srila Prabhupada wants that every temple is connected to a farm community. So ideally, one day Kishore Kishori will give us the intelligence and the capacity to have a farm community here in the Midwest. So we can also bring ahimsa milk for Kishore Kishori and for the devotees. So, say that in the microphone. Yeah, we have to. We all pulling. How you say it, when you cheer and you actually wish all success to Patraka Prabhu. Is he's struggling because he's by himself, but geez, we pray to Krishna that he becomes successful. Yeah. Talk to the microphone so people can hear.
He has a real big interest of, getting some cows, and
Yes.
yeah, he's in the process of getting some cows. So.
Yes, but hopefully some other people also become inspired and work with him. He needs help. Yeah.
Thanks for the class, Subala. Yeah, you were mentioned in remembering back in the 60s in same thing, in what to speak 5,000 years ago, in which the intervention and the impact that the new regulations in the agro-industry has caused to nature is just staggering and appalling. I never knew, because I was remembering also, I lived that kind of life during vacations as well, that we were milking the cows, and we were taught how to do it, along with the peasants. Now you have to earn your vacation, therefore you have to work, and yeah, it was a lot of fun. And I never heard of lactose intolerance in the peasants.
Yeah, actually, I never heard this.
Never. Lactose intolerance. Or people that got sick because we're walking barefoot in the stables while making the cows that pee and poo and all the urine, and they never got sick. Never.
Yeah.
An infection or fungus on their feet or anything. It's how the industry and modern times with all these regulations in order to make the nature profitable, has caused to our lives, how has impacted our lives and nature. Nature also became business. Go trekking, as you were mentioning, you go to nature and paved trekking trails and full of signs, you have to wear helmets and stuff like that. It's just terrible. And it's getting worse because nature is getting smaller and smaller and smaller because the agro industry is taking the best lands to create this genetic modified products to meet the urban needs in the great cities. And before that also, there was a sacred sense of nature. People lived in communion with nature and with respect, and they blend with nature with no problem because they understood how important nature was. Simple life and high thinking. You don't have to go to university. You don't have to go to college to understand nature. You just have to live there and understand it. How it works and how we can blend in and have a wonderful relationship with nature. That's all what I want to say.
But it's also nature that's kicking our butt, because the reactions, back to nature, they romanticized city people about being in the farm life, but when they get there, the reality of hard work is something they didn't, so it's kind of like, it's just misleading, and because of so many sinful activities in Kali Yuga, nature reacts, and it's not a peaceful situation anywhere. And Prabhupada said the government won't allow you to live peacefully. It's always some money-making scheme to enhance the pockets of a few. The rich man's money is made on the poor man's blood.
Yes.
So the cheating propensity is there, and all these anomalies. So people they misunderstand nature, and nature is what's the nature. It's all natural, but what nature are you talking about? Birth, death, disease, and old age. It's natural.
Yes.
Anyways, that's the way we're supposed to see it. Right?
That's the urban mentality, vision of what nature and simple living is all about. Urban people have a different structure, mental structure, and going there romantically, as you say, romanticizing, nature, and it's going to impact us. Because we're not designed, we were not educated. Well, if you had lived there for quite a while, your family has the background, it's not as complicated.
Fact is that the whole thing, the material world is designed to be miserable. I appreciate what Jitendra Prabhu said, that not only we get disturbed by there's the Adi Daivika, Adi Bhautika, and Adi Daivika, Adi Bhautika, and the Adi Atmika. So we're disturbed by other living entities. They're going to disturb us. So mosquitoes and, some disease, we did get sick. Actually, quite a bit. I remember getting sick with tapeworms. That was pretty shocking, that, didn't kill me, but I remember having, you get all those, whatever, chicken pox and all that type of things, all those disease. So other entities just causing you all kinds of disease. And nature will cause some difficulties too. And similarly, your own body and mind is all disturbed, especially nowadays. So this is not a place, the beauty that we hear here is perfect. It's the spiritual world. It's like Krishna Archana was highlighting yesterday, that to reach that place in which there's no anxiety, we have to come to the position of being totally absorbed in Krishna. And otherwise, this material world is a place of anxiety. So it's not, as you say, we can romanticize either in the urban settings or the rural settings. You still have to deal with birth, death, old age, and disease. And so we have to overcome that regardless. However, there is a difference in the modes of nature. So in rural life, it's more in the mode of goodness, and urban life is passion and ignorance. But Kali Yuga, the overarching thing is just a mode of passion and ignorance. Because that, why the kids in my generation, my times, and myself, we get sick? Why we all get all messed up? Well, the first thing is that the culture was in ignorance and passion, mostly ignorance. I remember going in the kitchen of my grandmother. I was scared to go there. It was more like a dungeon, to a kitchen, dark and smelly and blood, you have the sense of violence in there. In fact, the thing that comes to my mind in that kitchen was my grandmother engaging me in helping her killing a chicken. That's what comes to my mind. A baby, killing a chicken is like traumatized. I'm still traumatized. I'm still possibly, like trying to free. It's one of the things that still mess me up, as a devotee, as a living being right now. So that's how we grow up. So it's not pretty. It's ugly. Yes.
Yeah, I can relate to what you're talking about, because when I was real young, on my mother's side, my grandmother had a farm in South Carolina, and we used to, my father would take the family there in the summertime, for vacation, and we'd spend time on the farm. And it's like the description that you was giving, I can relate, because a lot of the things, like it was near a swamp. There were cornfields. She had animals, and like you said, she did things like she killed the chickens, and it was kind of scary, to go there, because it was like going back in time. She actually built. My grandmother built the house she lived in with her own hands.
Yes.
She was pretty, resourceful, and I can relate to what you were saying, because I've experienced some of that myself as a child, living in the countryside, and it was rough. I had a love-hate relationship. There were some things about it I loved, and there was other things it was like too too primitive for me.
Yes, yes.
But there were also things I really loved about being in that environment. So
Yes, yes.
yeah, I had a mix
Yes,
feeling.
Did you give Jitendra and then we have...
Well, I remember Bhaktisiddhanta says, you know, see it for what it is. Material world's like an outhouse. Do your business and get out. Don't loiter. You know. So, you know, these things are, you know, meant to be understood.
Yes.
Animals in nature are pretty much adapted to what nature has. And among them, there's a chain that works perfectly. But we are out of that chain. As we've been speaking all along about how nature can impact us, do you think that we are not from this planet? Don't you think that probably we're coming from another planet, so to speak, because we're not part of that chain? We try to adapt ourselves, and that's how we create cultures to adapt to that nature in order for us to survive. But animals get scared with our presence. We get scared with the animal presence. We have to kill certain animals in order for us to survive. People has to kill animals to eat, you know, kind of thing. That sometimes makes me think that we're not from this world. You know, this is a hostile planet for human beings, and we had become more hostile to this planet in order for us to survive.
Well, it's that's the concept of the the transcendental literatures, where spirit soul, we don't belong to this material world, and this material world is designed as a place of dukkhalayana shashvatam. Is a place of misery. It's designed like that. So regardless of how you square it, how you put it, we can speculate this and this way. We really don't know, but it is a fact. The part that we can understand is the factual part that is being informed to us, that this is not a place for us, it's incompatible, and therefore we can be happy here. It's miserable. And like Jitendra Prabhu pointed out, from Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, just get out of, just do what you have to do and get out, so because it doesn't make sense. You can function it's like trying to live a life in underwater your whole life. You have to put a suit and things like that. You're limited because it's not your natural environment. So we have to. That's what Prabhupada say. Don't waste your lifetime. I mean, some devotees, say that, well, maybe several lives. And Prabhupada say, no, just do your business right now and get out. You don't know what's gonna be in the future, or where you're going to land, or things like that. Just get out. Just go back home, back to Godhead. I'm going to stop here. So I thank you very much. Garantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.